Thank you. This is Mayor Shave. It's Wednesday, June 23rd, 2021 at 7:56 p.m. And I call the Aberdeen City Council meeting to order. I was just checking to see if that came through. Sorry. Public comments and public hearing comments are included during the Zoom video meetings. The public was notified that if they wish to speak during the meeting, an email be sent to Patricia Soul, City Clerk, and indicate if they would like to speak or have the clerk read the comment. If they desire to comment live, they will be called on during the meeting and allowed to speak for 3 minutes. Written comments provided before the meeting have been provided to City Council members and will be read into the record up to the current 3-minute time limit. City Clerk Soul, could you take a roll call vote, please?
Yes. Councilmember Andrews,
Yes.
Councilmember Ellis,
Yes, here.
Councilmember Francie,
Here.
Councilmember Gordon,
Here.
Councilmember Cashman,
Here.
Councilmember Kennedy,
Present.
Councilmember Mackey,
Here.
Councilmember Richrod,
Here.
Councilmember Ross,
Here.
Councilmember Shaw,
Here.
Councilmember Short,
Here.
Councilmember Taylor,
Here.
Mayor Shave,
Here.
all present.
Thank you. Next item is approval of the minutes of the previous meeting.
Mayor Shave,
Yes.
I would move to approve the minutes of the previous meeting.
Second.
Second.
Motion was made and seconded to approve the minutes of the previous meeting. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Under additions or deletions, I would like to add an appointment to the Seaport Board. And I would entertain a motion to add that to the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Motion was made and seconded to add an appointment to the Seaport Board. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Is there any other additions or deletions? Seeing none, I'll move on to public comments on all topics, or if you want to comment at a public hearing, a written request must be submitted to the city clerk. City Clerk Soul, do you have any public comments to read?
There were none received.
Thank you. With that, I'll move on to item 5, the Finance Committee. Committee Chair Catchman, do you have a report?
Yes, good evening. Finance met tonight at 6 o'clock via Zoom and had a really good discussion around the agenda items as well as a few other things finance has been working on. One of those is Director Soul proposed a change to the reports that come into the council. So we'll soon be seeing reports with a section at the bottom that has a financial impact, which will help answer a lot of the questions that we've had lately about, if items are budgeted, what fund they're going to come from, and then also help track any supplemental budget items for the various unknowns that come up during the year. She also provided us with a look at the finances, which are on track May year to date for both expenses and planned revenue. So first tonight is the approval of expenditures and payroll, and I move that we approve.
I second.
Motion was made and seconded to approve all the expenditures and payroll. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, City Clerk Soul, would you take a roll call?
Yes. So the motion to approve accounts payable in the total amount of $646,917 and payroll in the total amount of $97,699.50. Check numbers 25170 through 25177 and 73536 through 73701 and wires 1264 through 1266. Roll call. Councilmember Andrews,
Yes.
Councilmember Ellis,
Yes.
Councilmember Francie,
Yes.
Councilmember Gordon,
Yes.
Councilmember Cashman,
Yes.
Councilmember Kennedy,
Yes.
Councilmember Mackey,
Yes.
Councilmember Richrod,
Yes.
Councilmember Ross,
Yes.
Council President Shaw,
Yes.
Councilmember Short,
Yes.
Councilmember Taylor,
Yes.
unanimously approved.
Thank you.
All right, next under reports, we have a report from finance and the finance director recommending that the city council approve the amendment to chapter 2.96 municipal office hours as indicated in the ordinance. I move we adopt this report.
I second.
Motion was made and seconded to adopt this report. Is there any discussion? Under discussion, Councilmember Shaw, Council President Shaw, sorry.
Well, I just wanted to share with the group that I won't be supporting the proposal. I think our public wants finance open from 8 to 5. And if I, as a council member, can protect that by keeping it in the ordinance, I want to do that. I think that people who show up at the last minute needing to pay by cash are the people who need us open the most. So I think that we can be a little more creative and find a way to stay open 8 to 5.
Okay, Councilmember Kennedy.
Thank you very much. I agree with Council President Shaw. One thing I didn't see in the report was the reasoning why this change was being made. So I was hoping, for some clarification as to what's the purpose behind this.
I can give you what I know if you want
Thanks,
to
Mayor.
hear from me. Katie?
Yes, go ahead, Mayor. Thank you.
For quite some time, we've been contacted by public as to why we are closed during the noon hour. And so we've tried to look at ways that we could be open during the noon hour to make that possible. And we have found that we have very few citizens come in between 4 and 5, if any. We also have ways for citizens to drop their payment off if they pay by check, or they can pay online as well. But lately, state auditing policies have dictated that we do some things differently than we have in the past. And one of the reasons that the 4 to 5 closure sounded beneficial is because we need to reconcile all our cash drawers at the end of the workday. And so it would benefit the city to have that done by quitting time daily. So I don't know if Patricia wants to add to this. That's basically where I'm at with it. State auditors policies have changed, and this just seemed like a good fit based on what the public's been asking us. Patricia.
So the reason that I brought this forward was we had findings on our audit, as you guys know. One of them was the way we handled cash. If we have time in the afternoon for our cashiers to count and reconcile their cash to the reports, then it makes it so there is a separation of duties. Right now, the accountant one counts the cash the next morning. This way it would be counted before the cashiers left for the day, between 4 and 5. The other reason that we did it was the people are lining up at noon to come in, and currently our counter is open from 8 until noon, and then from 1 until 5. By switching it to 4 p.m., we would then be open during lunch and closed at 4, which would still leave us open for the same counter open for the same number of hours. So that's what our intent was.
Tawny,
So I could have swore we passed a position in the budget that the reasoning for having the position in the budget for us passing that position was that so we could be open from 12 to 1. And I understand the whole, I worked in accounting for years, but maybe we could, if leaving at 5, maybe the last person to close their drawer can come in at 9 and work 9 to 6 or something. But I really thought we were opening from noon to 1. Yeah, because I thought we budgeted specifically so that we could have that position. So I'm a little confused by that.
go ahead, Patricia.
That was what we were working towards, and that's what, why we're proposing what we're proposing, so we'd be open from noon to 1. It wasn't we would be open from 8 until 5, as far as I understood. If it came across that way, that was never the intent.
No, I mean, I thought we voted for that position so that we could reopen from noon to 1.
I would have to go back and read the legislative report. I thought that we voted for that position because we didn't have a cashier at the front counter the whole day. We were using other staff to fill the cashiering position. But since that was a month into my employment, I could be mistaken, but that is what the intent was when we brought it.
Yeah, it was my understanding that we were filling an unfilled position. That we didn't have a cashier, and the cashier moved on to another position and it was never filled. And that's what we did. But again,
It was
this is just something that we're open 9 to 5 or 8 to 5. And we hardly find any need to have the window open between 4 and 5. And there's a lot of call for the window to be open during the noon hour. So it's as simple as that. We're just trying to accommodate what works best. Plus, like I said, the changes in policies with the state auditors and so on have required more stringent care of the cash, and we wanted to reconcile all the cash before the cashiers went home. So that's all this is about. It just makes it convenient for both citizens and the finance department.
Well, I guess that's what I don't understand is we did budget. I know I fully remember the budget conversations about this. That we did, that was the justification for hiring another person. But I mean, we have a duty to be open for our citizens. And I mean, maybe everybody shouldn't be working the same shift or something just to cover everything. But that's my opinion.
Katie, you're still in charge here. So if you want to call on more discussion, it's up to you.
I would like Council Member Ross to speak since she hasn't had the opportunity yet.
Thank you. I have real concerns about closing at 4 o'clock as well. I think as just public service and being available customer service for our community, that staying open till 5 is more reasonable. And I'm really wondering if we couldn't just revisit the whole reconciliation process. If it's really as quiet as you say between 4 and 5, why couldn't they begin the counting process and just be ready to go to close the books at 5 o'clock when it's time to leave?
Because
That's a thought I have. Well,
you have to leave your till open until you close the doors. So if someone's
Okay.
got cash to pay, you can't count the cash and have it closed and your
Yeah.
report's
well,
balanced when you don't know. So that won't
yeah.
work.
I was a bank teller for years. I always had my cash counted before
course.
the end of the day. If somebody came in, you had to
course.
make an adjustment. But anyway, just that's just my 2 cents.
Katie?
Do you want me to facilitate? We have
Point
a
of order,
lively
Mayor,
discussion,
you're,
so if
you're
Councilmember
supposed to be in
Richrod
charge of this.
wants to
Well,
put 2 cents and has
It was
further comment.
Katie's report, so I didn't know she had any more discussion going on it. Okay.
But we've
Seeing-
never.
Is there any
ran the
further discussion? Seeing none.
Councilmember Richard has had his hand up.
And
Oh, I
Francis,
didn't see.
Yeah.
Alan, go ahead.
I had a question for Director Soul. You said that if we close out the cash drawers and do all that stuff, all transactions have to stop before that. And is that a part of the state's mandate on how things are done that way? And I
No.
can see that, but
No, it's an error. It's, I know I see people shaking their head. It is an error prevention thing. We aren't just counting the cash and closing the till. We are reconciling to all the transactions for the day. So
Wow.
counting the cash could happen. And then when you have another person come in, but if you truly want to balance the till, you have to balance it to the transactions. So that isn't just as simple as doing it for the last hour, because then you'd have to rerun the report if more than one person came in, and then you're just opening yourself up for errors. That's why I'm saying it doesn't work. If we had 2 cashiers up front, one cashier could count their till while the other person was seeing customers, and vice versa. We have one cashier with backups that work in other positions. So it's council's decision. The ordinance was just to give mayor the right to set the hours. The 4 o'clock thing was my preference, but again, if it can't happen, it can't happen. So if you have other questions, I'm happy to
okay,
answer.
thanks.
Councilmember Kennedy.
Thank you very much. So I totally get where you're coming from, Patricia, because I run a business and I run a till and all that kind of stuff. So my shaking of my head is like, no, that's an error control mechanism. You can't, it's not a good idea to do that. You can inject errors into it. But what I would like to potentially do is bring a motion to table this item until we can verify the budgetary or the budgeting of that other position, because I agree with Tawny. I'm pretty sure that when we were talking about that, that extra position was specifically to allow operation between the lunch hour. And I just think that if we did that, then we should be pursuing that and not doing this. So with that, I would like to make a motion to table this until we can verify.
second,
Motion is made, seconded to table this item. Any discussion? Katie?
Verify what? Adding a position or?
So to verify that the position for finance that we budgeted for, what that position was for, because I agree with Tawny. I remember, discussion of that, and part of the budget discussion on that position was so that the counter could stay open between the lunch hour. And so if we're not doing that, then it'd be kind of nice to know why, because we budgeted for it. And why we're getting an ordinance instead of the person that we budgeted for.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of tabling this, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. The item is tabled. Thank you.
All right, next on the agenda is a report from Finance and the Community Development Director recommending that Roglins be awarded the demolition contract for 419 East Heron. This firm is a licensed contractor pursuant to the laws of the state of Washington and is capable of performing this work. I move we adopt this report.
I second.
Motion was made and seconded to adopt this report. Is there any discussion?
Get it done as soon as possible.
Margot, did you have a comment?
Under my breath, I said, yeah, get it done as soon as possible.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Councilmember Richrod?
I'm poking the computer like mad here, trying to find the reference in the document, but in that total, the 679,000 and change total was listed an abatement assessment or an asbestos assessment. And it's also listed as a separate thing that has already been done, and that's caused some confusion. And I wanted some clarification on that. Oh, yeah, here it is. Okay, an asbestos survey has been completed. The building has been found to have asbestos and so on and so forth. And a complete asbestos survey is included in the bid package. So are we bidding again for another one?
Would you like me to answer that, Mayor?
Lisa Scott, please.
Thank you. No, we're not getting another assessment, but the asbestos removal has to be included in the demolition bid. So the bid that you got includes the removal and treatment for that.
I see.
I think I'm hearing two different things here. I'm hearing an assessment that was paid for and then removal that's in this bid. That's my understanding.
Oh, as a matter of fact, you're right, Mayor. The asbestos survey, which I assume would be the analysis of it, it says that it's in the bid package, but that it has already been done.
Yeah.
And so
It
yeah, I
was
don't wanna pay twice.
included as part of the bid package. So when they bid it, they knew what they were going to encounter.
Okay, so we're not paying for a second one then?
No.
It's curiously worded.
Okay. So noted. We can improve that. Thank you.
There any other discussion? Councilmember Ellis.
I just wanted to comment that with some of these high ticket construction related items, that when we hire local contractors, the city benefits through B&O tax revenue. And hopefully we'll see some of that coming back to us.
That is a very good point. And if you don't mind, I'll even emphasize. Roglins employees live in our general community and they spend their money in our general community. So by supporting our local vendors, that money becomes part of the economic circle in our community. And you're absolutely right. That is very important. In this case, we were fortunate enough to have Roglins have the winning bid on this. And sometimes that doesn't always happen because it's always put out for fair bidding process. But in this case, it is a local vendor. So that is good. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries.
All right, the final report tonight is a report from Finance and the Parks Director recommending that the City Council authorize the mayor to sign a memorandum of understanding with the YMCA of Grays Harbor for the amount of $20,000. I move we adopt this report.
I second.
Motion was made and seconded to adopt this report. Is there any discussion? Under discussion, Councilmember Kennedy.
Thank you very much. Just really quick, I'd just like to express how great of a program this is. I live right down the street from one of our parks, and every summer when I see the kids out there in the YMCA, it's just an awesome thing. So I love this program.
Councilmember Andrews is under attack.
Yes.
Okay, any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Hi, emphatically.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
All right, final item on the table is for ordinances. And in light of the discussion and tabling that we had of item 1 on the reports, I'm going to move that we table the first reading of bill number 21-04, an ordinance amending Aberdeen Municipal Code Chapter 2.96, amending language to remove specific department and specific hours and leave the operating hours up to the mayor's determination.
I second that.
Motion was made and seconded to table the first reading of this ordinance. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. The first reading of bill number 2104 is also tabled. Thank you.
Thanks, Mayor. That's all from finance tonight.
Okay, thank you. Public Works Committee Chair Report, Kennedy.
Thank you very much, Mayor. Public Works Committee met yesterday at just a little after 4. We had a couple of latecomers, and we discussed our agenda items, which are aplenty. So I'm going to get right into it. And the first thing I would actually like to request is that we do a combined vote on items 3, 7, 9, and 11, because they are all just simply extending the contract date. They are not approving any additional funding or anything like that. It's just a procedural thing so that we can keep projects moving and keep things running. So I don't know if I need to make an additional motion for that, Patrice. Or just ask the council's permission.
So what you can do exactly the motion you just did, which is
Okay.
I move to accept the recommendation in items, whichever they are. And then if you can get a second and then vote on it. And then the city council, if they choose not to support that, they can request it, they be separated.
Okay, thank you very much. So I would like to make a motion that we approve items 3, 7, 9, and 11 as stated.
Second,
Thank you. Motion was made and seconded to approve report items 3, 7, 9, and 11. Is there any discussion on that? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Thank you.
Okay, fantastic. So moving on, first item, we have a report from Public Works and the Public Works Director recommending that the City Council shall pass a resolution adopting the revised and extended 6-year TIP for the years 2022 through 2027. I move that we adopt this report.
Second.
Motion was made and seconded to adopt this report. Any discussion? Councilmember Ellis.
yes, I'd like to make an amendment to the report. Adding, adding the northbound of North B Street, missing sidewalk segment to Wishkah Road. So missing sidewalk segment northbound on B Street between Arnold Street and Wishkah Road.
Second.
Motion was made and seconded to amend this report. Is there any discussion? Councilmember Ellis.
Just very briefly that this is a pretty important missing link for young people wanting to get to Robert Gray School to either walk or ride their bikes. And right now there's no sidewalk on either side of the street on that segment. So this would be a really valuable missing link.
Okay. Could you repeat your amendment, please?
Yes, so adding missing sidewalk on at least one side of North B Street between Arnold Street and Wishkah Road.
Okay. And you guys went over this in
Point of
Public Works?
clarification.
Okay. Thank you. Any comments?
Corporation
this-
Counsel Kent had a,
Sorry,
Oh.
it was my point of clarification. I think Mayor Shave, you asked that and it was answered, which is that statutorily, this will need to be coordinated with the Public Works Department. So I just wanted to make sure they were aware and were supportive of that because I don't see,
That was my concern as well.
sorry, thank you.
Public Works Director Sanger.
I'm familiar with the request by Liz. We talked about it yesterday at the Public Works Committee meeting, and I requested her to make this motion at the council meeting tonight. So I know exactly what she's talking about, and I am in favor of it and agree with what her recommendation is. So it will be no issue to add it to our transportation improvement plan.
Perfect, thank you. I will say that when it comes to sidewalks for school kids, I don't think it's any secret that for years I've been quite in favor of that. So thank you for bringing that up. So there's an amendment on this report. Is there any more discussion on that amendment? All in favor of the amendment, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, the amendment is passed. And now we will vote on the report as amended. Any discussion on that? Seeing none, all in favor of the report as amended, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The report is adopted.
moving on. Next, we have a report from Public Works and the Public Works Director recommending that the City Council authorize the city engineer to act as the city's authorized agent for a 2021 RAISE grant application for the Aberdeen US 12 Highway Rail Separation Project, to sign all official grant documents and to submit an application for up to $3 million utilizing previously committed local match funds. I move that we adopt this report.
Second.
Motion was made and seconded to adopt this report. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Seeing none, the report is adopted.
And next, we have a report from Public Works and the Public Works Director recommending that the mayor shall be authorized to sign an agreement with John Lupo Construction, Inc. for $168,835.12 for the City Hall re-roof project. I move we adopt this report.
Motion was made and seconded to adopt this report. Is there any discussion? Under discussion, Councilmember Kennedy.
Thank you. Just once again, really nice to see this go to another local contractor. So nice to see them get bidding and winning.
You know, as long as we're discussing this, I have not seen the final report on what we're going to actually do on the roof other than fix it. And and it's needed fixing for quite some time. So this is really great to get to this point. However, we had some discussion on doing things a little differently up there than what we've had in the past. Does the committee chair Kennedy, do you know exactly what the project's going to look like?
That would be more a question for Rick Sanger. He'd have more details on what exactly is going to go on up there.
Go ahead, Rick.
I believe what we're doing is we're replacing the membrane, and all the equipment up there is we're going around it. We're not lifting it off and going under it. So it's the cheaper option. And one other thing I'd like to mention was that the budgetary number for the re-roof of City Hall was $150,000. The bid came in at 168 and some change. And based on that, we still, when we looked at it, based on the increased price of materials, we still thought it was a valid bid and was something that we should approve, but there is only $150,000 budgeted for it. So there would be an $18,000 expenditure that would be a supplemental budget, or we could cut back on some other facilities projects, which is definitely something I believe we have $60,000 in some money for the plaza area in front of City Hall that we could probably cut back $20,000 on to cover the cost. So, but as of right now, if we approve it right now, it's a $20,000 supplemental budget before we make those other decisions.
Okay, had some discussion about putting some slopes up there. So there would be a portion of it would have sloped roof. And we just discussed doing some things different up there, try to make some improvements, but the cost is obviously prohibitive.
Right. What we looked at was mirroring what the bank, whatever the bank was over there in the corner that did. They had a flat roof and they added some vertical elements to it. I guess to cover up the flat surface. We looked at doing that, and it wasn't cost prohibitive, so we went with the cheapest option.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion, Councilmember Richrod?
It may come up in the report. The bid that we selected was not actually the lowest, but I'm sure must be a reason for that. I'm assuming that the other low bid didn't meet the standard.
Right, well, they withdrew.
Councilmember Kennedy.
Yeah, that was brought up. The contractor with the lower bid actually pulled out.
Oh.
Okay, any other comments? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries.
All right, moving on. We have a report from Public Works and the Public Works Director recommending that the City Council shall authorize the mayor to execute an agreement with Aquaterra Cultural Resource Consultants for up to $10,000 for consultant services to provide archaeological monitoring. I move we adopt this report.
Second.
Motion was made second to adopt this report. Is there any discussion? No discussion on archaeological monitoring.
Other
You guys
than
are
visit.
awesome.
Either way, have to do it.
You guys
It's
are
required.
awesome.
It's required. It's required. We got to do it.
Seeing no discussion, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries.
And next we have a report from Public Works and the Public Works Director recommending that the City Council shall authorize the city engineer to execute an agreement with HDR for $23,687.54 for consultant services to make changes to the WTP membrane operating permit. I move we adopt this report.
Second.
Motion was made and seconded to adopt this report. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
And next we have a report from Public Works and the Public Works Director recommending that the City Council shall authorize the mayor and the Public Works Director to sign FEMA agreement 4593-DR-WA for obtaining federal and state emergency and disaster assistance funds. I move we adopt this report.
Second.
Motion was made and seconded to adopt this report. Is there any discussion? Under discussion, this is another piece of funding that's out there that our Public Works Department, digging deep, found and is applying for. They leave no stones unturned. Any other
The
discussion?
forms unfold out.
Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries.
And next we have a report from Public Works and the Public Works Director recommending that the City Council authorize full payment to John Lupo Construction Inc. for $48,690.59 for the Solids Building Roof Repair Project. I move we adopt this report.
Second.
Motion was made and seconded to adopt this report. Is there any discussion? Council Member Kennedy.
So we did discuss this at the Public Works meeting, and it is a bit higher than the original amount of the bid, but it's because when they got in there as expected, or not as expected, but we were, we were told that when they got in there, to expect some potential for other work that needed to be done, and there was a lot of rotted timber and that kind of thing. So it required a lot more work than what was originally anticipated. So it did come out a little bit higher.
And again, this is a local company.
Mm-hmm.
So all these major projects, including the city roof on the city hall, which we didn't mention, is also local. So that's good. I'm glad to see that. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Are there any that opposed? Seeing none, motion carries.
And next we have a report. This report is offered as information only and no action is requested at this time. The report is from Public Works and the Community Development Director providing updates on the critical area amendment. So I don't believe we need to vote or anything on that. So we'll move on to resolutions, and we have a resolution adopting a revised and extended 6-year transportation improvement plan, including proposed improvement to those streets for which arterial street funds and federal funds, if available, will be expanded for the years 2022 through 2027. I move we accept this resolution.
Second.
Motion was made and seconded to accept this resolution. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. This resolution is approved.
Resolution 2021-16.
I don't think we have any discussion, Liz, on anything at this point. But I'll leave that up to you, Mayor, if you wanted to call unless she has her hand up for something.
Councilmember Ellis, do you have a concern?
Yeah, I'm seeing a message that my connection is unstable, but I just wanted to make sure that we were going to lump items 3, 7, 9, and 11. And I know we voted to lump them, but then did we vote to accept those?
We did.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to make sure.
Thank you.
All right, fantastic. Yeah, I'd asked initially how to accomplish that, and then I made the motion to accept them as written. So, all righty, and with that, that is all from Public Works. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Public Safety Committee Chair Andrews.
All right, Public Safety met this evening at 6:30. So first we talked about fire. So one thing we talked about is how dry it is this year. It is very extremely dry. A matter of fact, I looked on the county website and there was actually a burn ban that was put in effect today at noon. So, fireworks are only allowed to be set off, just the legal ones, on the day of 4th of July in the city limits of Aberdeen from 9 a.m. till midnight. But those are just the ones that are on the ground. If you see anything flying, those are the ones that aren't legal. But if you are going to set the safe ones off, make sure that you have your water. And hold on, I'll go back here. The recommendations are that you purchase only legal fireworks. You ensure the safety of your pets. You keep a bucket of water nearby in which to place all used fireworks. You have a water hose or fire extinguisher nearby. Call 911 if you know, and give the correct address or location if you have an emergency, and know your basic first aid. Make sure you use eye protection, have a designated adult, and we'll post those on the Facebook pages. Another big concern is we're supposed to get record high heat this weekend, and but it's supposed to be very, very hot. So make sure that you don't leave your pets or your children in the car. I mean, it was supposed to be, just for example, up to 95 degrees. After 10 minutes, your car gets to be 114 degrees. After 30 minutes, it gets to 129. You know, that's deadly right there. But even at 70 degrees, after 10 minutes, it's 89 degrees. And after 30, it's 104. You don't want your kid or your pet in that. So just, you know, leave your pets at home. If if you're running through the store, don't leave them in the car. Don't leave your kids in the car. I mean, you should never leave your kids in the car, but so be it. So we just want to make sure that everybody is really, really safe. We're not used to this kind of heat. So just check on your neighbors, try to keep cool, stay hydrated, do what you can. And just remember, another good one is that, not good one, but another good tip is to be careful with that water that's in your water hose. If you lay your water hose out, that'll heat up. So then if your kid goes and grabs the water hose, there was a picture going around Facebook recently where a child got burned by that. So just make sure you're, let some water out before you let your kids play with that water hose, because that will, the water in the hose can be hot. So let's see. And the burn ban, recreational fires are okay in approved fire pits, but the burn ban covers everything else. So just clarification from the fire chief there. Over on, and then there's one item on the agenda tonight for fire. That's authorizing the RFA Planning Committee to engage with, we approved this, that we were going to go ahead with this. This is just the formal agreement that to spend our half of the money with the city of Hopewell. Over on the police side, they recently did applications, and 7 police officers and 4 public service officers are going through to the physical agility test, which will be this Saturday, but they're doing it early so that, hopefully they'll be done out of the heat. Then next Wednesday, we're having the workshop on the changes with the police department. So we really want to invite the public to listen in on our workshop, because it's very important that the public understand the multitude of changes that our police department is going to have to do, and their services are greatly going to be affected by all the new laws that the legislator put into place. And so it's an interesting time we live in, but it would really be helpful if the public could sit in on that workshop just to hear us discuss it, and so they get that full view of the changes that are going to be coming down the pike. With that one, let me see if I'm forgetting anything. Feel like I am. Oh, and then Hoquiam Chief Myers and Police Chief Shoemate both had the interview regarding the grant submission for the Navigator program. The chief thought it was real positive, and we should learn by the end of the month if we were successful in that grant application. So let's move on to the one item on the agenda this evening, and that is the report from the Ad Hoc City Council Committee on Fire Cooperative Services, and the fire chief recommending that the City Council authorize Mayor Shave to execute the services provider agreement between Interface Systems LLC to create a database to develop the CGH RFA fire benefit charge. Costs will be shared equally with the city of Hoquiam. I move we accept this report.
Rich Rod, second.
Motion was made and seconded to accept this report. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. The report is adopted.
All right, so other than your continued warning about fire dangers with fireworks and the heat, public safety is complete.
Thank you. Good advice from public safety, because we are certainly in a dry period for, I think, Grace Harbor. A little bit unusual. We've already had descriptions of drought, which when did you ever hear that before talked about around here?
Mm,
And then with this heat coming up, and we're what, a week and a half away from the 4th of July. And usually folks are popping off fireworks early. Boy, there's no joke in taking precautions this year. So all those things that public safety described there is really important. And again, as soon as I can get more details, I will be announcing if we can have a location for folks to go to cool off. So, okay. Next item on the agenda is special agenda items, and the only thing that I see on there is an appointment. And I would like to appoint Sarah Little to the Seaport Board.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Motion was made and seconded to appoint Sarah Little to the Seaport Board. Any discussion? Under discussion, Councilmember Ellis.
Yes, just that she's super well qualified and would be a wonderful addition.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. She will be appointed at the next board meeting, their next board meeting. Now we'll move on to city council comments. And I didn't forget this time. Councilmember Kennedy.
Actually, I'll defer to Council President Shaw. You can go before me.
Oh, thank you. As mentioned earlier, for the purpose of discussion, I would move that the city council conduct a workshop on July 21st for the purpose of an overview of the comprehensive planning process with the time to begin at 6 p.m.
Second, change the date.
Is July 21 not the correct date?
Oh, yeah, excuse
Yes,
me.
It is the correct date.
Yeah, excuse me.
Motion was made and seconded to have a council workshop on July 21st. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. So we have a workshop on the 30th involving
Yeah.
police issues,
Of June.
or June 30th, and then July 21st.
Right.
So, okay.
And no, if anybody thought you were going to get the summer off, there's just too much going on.
I know. Okay, anyone else? Councilmember Kennedy.
All righty, thank you very much. First, I'd just like to say to everybody that's going to light off fireworks, definitely be safe, but also try and keep just to the lighter fireworks, because last year and years past, it has sounded like a war zone out there, and I can't count the number of people I've talked to, veterans, pet owners, that just had a really awful time of it. And this is a time when we're supposed to be celebrating, and when a good portion of our community is forced to hide in their house because they suffer from PTSD, or have to really shelter their animals from these sounds. It's not fun for them. So please just stick to the little pops, but keep those big boomers for somewhere else. Get them out of town. And then second, I'd just like to remind everybody once again this weekend, Sunday Market on South Broadway Street between Manalapas Brewing and Furniture World. Lots of really good vendors. I heard a rumor that there might be some free ice cream and popsicles and that kind of thing to help beat the heat. There's lots of fun for kids. There are free books. So if you want to get some free books for your kids, they're at the Pop Kids Club booth, the library's been donating free books for everybody. So definitely get down there and get those and enjoy the day. Thank you.
Thank you. I got some buckwheat honey last Sunday. Ooh.
Good stuff.
Councilmember Andrews.
Alrighty, so I know, everybody can get your calendars out. All right, I'm gonna run down some events in July. July is very busy for me every Saturday, just saying. So July 3rd, we have Founder's Day. The parade is at noon, and it's gonna be this parade format is staying the same this year. And at 2 p.m. in front of the library, there's a new star on our Aberdeen Star Walk going to be put in for the local NAACP award-winning author Jeff Burlingame. So he's getting a star in front of the library. So that'll be at 2 o'clock. Parade's at noon. There'll be some vendors. We just don't know how many yet. We're working on that. So I'm also volunteering with that, and then I'm volunteering with the Aberdeen Shakespeare Theater. We're doing a read this year. Nobody really memorized, but we're gonna do some parks. So on July 10th from 2 p.m. we'll be in Sam Ben Park. July 17th at 2 p.m. we'll be over on Emerson Avenue. July 24th at 2 p.m. we'll be at the Westport Maritime Museum. And then on Saturday, and then the Rain Glow Festival, the mayor mentioned, that's on the July 24th too. Unfortunately, I don't have the time in front of me, but that'll be on that date. And then on Saturday, July 31st, that is the Aberdeen Art Walk. And we'll have vendors over in Morrison Riverfront Park. We're gonna spread them out a little bit. We weren't sure about social distancing, so we picked that area because we thought we'd have more room to spread them out rather than on Broadway this year. And if anybody has any questions about any of that, feel free to contact me. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Ellis.
Thank you. I have, it looks like three items. I wanted to piggyback on Councilmember Kennedy's comments regarding fireworks. And I meant to bring this up at our Public Works Committee meeting as well. The amount of litter that's left on the streets ends up going down the storm drains, and having fireworks can be fun and safe, but please also clean up your mess. Don't leave that for someone else or to get washed down the storm drain.
I've been the someone else many times.
But now you're the one that sets a good example, right?
I hope so.
So is Councilmember Francie.
I wanted to also encourage people who have not gotten their COVID shot to get their vaccination. The Delta variant really packs a hard punch for folks who haven't been vaccinated. And the county is still at 40% vaccinated. We need to be at 70% to have that herd immunity. And none of us want to see the clocks get turned back and go through a fall and winter that's like the winter and spring we've been through. So please take care of yourselves, take care of your families. And then a thought, Mayor, that in the past, when there have been hot weather events, libraries have opened their doors to people coming in for shelter. And heck, people could maybe watch a movie, read a book. There's restrooms there, just another possibility. Thank you.
Thank you. I just wrote a note to call the library in the morning to see if they're going to be open or if they can be open this weekend. That's a good idea. Thank you. That's how we get things done around here. Teamwork. Good job. Anyone else? Councilmember Shaw, Council President Shaw.
That's
sorry.
okay. I don't want to stand on ceremony more than I have to. I was just hoping Director Sanger might share with the council, there's a lot there's some of our smaller cities around have been posting about a chlorination shortage and how that might impact their water supplies. And I was just wondering if Aberdeen is, to what extent Aberdeen is impacted, because council members might get questions about whether we're going to have issues with our water supply due to the disinfection shortage.
Public Works Director Sanger here. We have bulk hypo at our wastewater treatment plant, which is bleach for disinfection. We have chlorine gas at our water filter plant for disinfection. We're in the process of switching to bulk hypo there as well. Both of those products come from that plant that had the transformer blow up and replaced. We immediately reached out to our operators, found out we had a month-and-a-half supply, which puts us in way better shape than most communities and municipalities. We also have a Mark Tangvold, who was a Port of Grays Harbor employee, now is in charge of environmental science down there at that plant. And we have been in contact with him, and he said that he expected the plant to be online much sooner than what they were giving back to the media. And as it turns out, we just got an update today that stated exactly that. They expect to be back online by the end of the week and producing chlorine gas and bulk hypo, so that the emergency shouldn't be as much of an emergency as it was originally expected. We did, based on our concerns, reach out to our consultant, Gray and Osborne, for wastewater treatment plant for alternatives to bleach disinfection. There's a way to disinfect for our process using hydrogen peroxide. So we have reached out to them, and we are in the process of getting that process up, and just in case there is any issues. So I think we're better prepared than most cities, but again, we're still not out of the threat as everybody is if this were a prolonged outage here at this plant. So I guess that doesn't really say that we're out of the woods, but we feel like we're in pretty good shape.
Well, thank you. I didn't share with Rick earlier, didn't have a chance to let him know I was going to ask this question, but I knew that he would have been on top of it. So thanks.
Yeah. Thank you, Rick.
Yep, no problem.
Okay, Councilmember Ellis.
I'm sorry, if I could bring up one more thing.
Absolutely.
It would be good to get some feedback from my fellow council members. I'm feeling very frustrated with the format of our agendas. For example, the agenda for today's meeting is like 204 pages long with all of the background information. And there are elements of that I like to either print out or save as separate documents so that I can read them in preparation for the appropriate meeting or comment period. And it would be so nice if each piece was hyperlinked to our agenda instead of completely written out, if that were possible. So instead of 200 and some pages, we have our two-page agenda with a lot of hyperlinks.
Councilmember Kennedy.
The links are there.
Yeah, I was going to say the links are there, Liz. If you look at each agenda item, there's a blue line under like the first part of it. And if you hover over that, your mouse cursor will change, and that is a link, and it'll take you to that section. And something else you can do is if you want to print just a few pages, if you look at the page numbers, not from the PDF itself, but from the page counter, you can tell your printing system to only print pages, 5 and 6 or 10 through 20 or something like that. If you need any help with that, please reach out to me. I'd be willing to, remote onto your system and help you see where that stuff is, so you can just print out those sections you want instead of having to print the whole thing.
Thank you.
Okay, Councilmember Short.
Liz makes me laugh because my comment a couple years ago when I was carrying home reams of paper from the council with all this stuff printed out, why can't we do something that we don't have so much paper? So we have something that, without so much paper.
I think I certainly know what you mean. I think staff is really working hard to get the information and details to the council members on every item. And I know that they are making extra effort now to try to do it as soon as possible, so that you have the most amount of time to review items. It's up to council if you want to do things different or, come up with the new ideas, but I don't know how we get away from all the reading. There's just a lot of stuff. Council President Shaw.
So the links, thank you, Councilman Kennedy, for bringing that up a couple meetings ago. I have found enormously helpful. I've lots of other agendas are done that way, and I appreciate that Sandra and Finance got right on that, because they are really helpful. And I'm not going to suggest that staff give us less information, but there are programs out there and I use them, and maybe with the council's permission, maybe I can explore that with staff a little bit more, that help people organize their PDFs better, a PDF navigator kinds of things. And maybe there is a program we can provide to council members if you want to sort and manage your large PDF documents. There are programs that make that easier rather than the very simplistic PDF reader that comes with, a basic Microsoft program. So we might be able to look at that and get back to council on whether we think that's something that might be helpful.
Okay, any other comments? Seeing none, I think that takes care of all the business today.
Okay, I move we adjourn.
Second.
Motion was made and seconded to adjourn this council meeting. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, if there's no objection, I will adjourn.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.